Hello again. Between 1919 and 1981, looting in the course of civil disorder was wholly unknown in Britain. That year the practice was revived and it's now on the verge of becoming a popular pastime for certain groups in this country. Looting during riots or civil disorder took place sporadically in Britain during the 19th century, but it died out in the 1880s. During rioting in Liverpool in 1919, the practice returned briefly, but was soon discouraged by the use of bayonet charges and rifle fire. Nothing of the kind was seen again in Britain until 1981. I mention this because disorder and looting is now becoming something of a thing among young African Americans in certain American cities, and we've seen one or two instances here in Britain this summer. Where America leads, unfortunately, we in Britain all too often follow. Before looking at what's going on at the moment, let's look back at a little bit of black history in Britain. This is, after all, Black History Month, so nothing could be more apposite and appropriate. In January 1981, there was a fire during a party held by West Indians in South London. 13 people died, probably as a result of arson by a black person at the party. It was decided, however, to portray this as a racist attack, and on March 2nd, thousands of black people marched through London in a day of action. In Fleet Street, some of the marchers took the opportunity to attack and rob passers-by, and in the chaos which they generated, some of them began looting shops, such as jewellers. Although some abandoned shops had been looted during the Second World War, this was the first time that civil disorder had been combined with looting since the Liverpool riots of 1919. It was quite a shocking event, and the newspapers drew attention to this. The return of looting during disorder was very unwelcome. The events, though, in Fleet Street were the curtain raiser for more extensive rioting and looting, which took place in Brixton the following month, when vehicles and buildings were set on fire and many shops looted. That was in April. A few months later, there was more rioting and looting in London, Manchester and Liverpool. There had been civil disorder involving white people, of course, over the 60 years or so between 1919 and 1981, but looting was without doubt a black practice in the 1980s. 4 years later, there were riots in Brixton, Handsworth and Tottenham, all of which were marked by extensive looting. Looting took place by black people from time to time since then, for instance during the 2011 riots, but it has now returned as a black practice of a particular kind. This involves what are known as flash mobs, which congregate by means of messages exchanged on mobile telephones, and the purpose is to create disorder purely as an opportunity to start looting. In other words, looting is not a byproduct of a disturbance caused by some grievance or other. It is the deliberate object of the exercise to enable the people concerned to steal from shops by intimidating the staff there. We saw a couple of instances of this last month in London and Nottingham, but in America this practice has taken off in a big way among young black people, and it is inevitable that we will see similar large-scale looting and destruction in this country. In the description to this video, I give a link to a news item from the American city of Philadelphia, where 100 black youths, some of them children, invaded a large shop and began stealing sweets and drinks. The object was not just looting, but destruction, and the young people can be seen in a video clip throwing food and drink around and trying to trash the place, which they did. After they left, some of them jumped up and down on people's cars in an effort to damage them. These scenes shown in those videos are quite shocking, because even though the police arrived, they dared not grab any of the youths for fear of being accused of racism and perhaps triggering even worse disorder. The police who attended the scene of looting in Oxford Street last month adopted the same policy because they wanted to avoid even worse violence. This then is something which the Windrush Generation have definitely brought to this country, the custom of looting. We may debate the extent to which other aspects of cultural enrichment, which we will be hearing about during Black History Month, have actually occurred, but it is fair to say that 40 years ago, looting during civil disorder was introduced to this country and looks as though it is about to enjoy something of a revival.